Good afternoon, friends, and welcome back to my kitchen. So I finally have time to get some stuff done here in the kitchen. I have my sink loaded with tomatoes that I stuck in the freezer one bag at a time because I just didn't have enough to do anything with them, or I didn't have time. So I was just sticking bags in the freezer. Went ahead and pulled them out. I had 12 bags of frozen tomatoes, and now I have a sink full of frozen tomatoes. I was really depressed with my harvest of tomatoes this year because I felt like I didn't put enough away. But when I pulled all these out and looking at them now, I'm not disappointed. I had a good harvest. It might have got cut short because of all the rain that we got, but I'm excited to get these going. So I'm gonna do a bunch of tomato sauce and I'm gonna bring you guys along while I go ahead and do that and do some other things around the house today. All right, friends, so all of my tomatoes that are frozen, I didn't thaw them out, so I have them in the sink. I'm gonna run some cold water over them, and the ones that are ready to, the skin will just peel right off of them. So I'll show you a few that I'm doing that with right now, and it's the yellow cherry tomatoes. Those ones, the skin is just coming right off, and it makes it super easy then when you have to stick them in boiling water to get the skins to peel off. This way, it was just freezer, and it causes the skin to come off like nothing. So here is my cherry tomato, and literally the skin is just peeling right off. So I'm gonna go ahead and stick this in my pot, and this is gonna go to the chickens. And if you don't get all the skin off, that's fine, because we are also gonna be straining this out before we turn it into sauce. So take off what you can, but if you can't take it all off, don't worry about it. Well, as I finish up the rest of the tomato sauce, I'm gonna go ahead and start filling my jars, because I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have at least 2 canners full of tomato sauce. So always make sure that you're using bottled lemon juice when you're canning. Do not use fresh lemons. The acidity level is different, and you want to make sure you have the proper acidity level so that your jars will seal and preserve properly. So I'm adding 1 teaspoon of lemon juice to all my jars. This one's already full, so I'm going to add my 1 teaspoon of lemon juice to that. Then I'm going to add a ½ teaspoon of salt to each jar as well. All right, once all your jars are filled, you're gonna make sure that you go ahead and clean the rims off of all of your jars, because anything on there will cause your jars to not seal properly. All right, so my All-American can hold up to 14 of the pint-sized jars, so I'm gonna make 2 more pint-sized jars. That way I can fill up my canner completely, and then I'm gonna go ahead and get that going while I wait for the rest of the tomato sauce to finish up. All right, friends, so the next thing on my preserving list is my bone broth. We just got done processing all of our chickens, and I went ahead and took 25 of those chickens and pieced them out. So I have all of the carcasses that I need to go ahead and put into bone broth. So I went to the store and got me a big pot. A stainless steel pot. You want to make sure that you're using a stainless steel pot when you're doing your bone broth. So I only have this small one, but I have a lot of chickens and I want to do a lot at one time, so I went ahead and got one of these big ones. So I went ahead and pulled 6 of the chicken carcasses out of the freezer, and I'm going to go ahead and stick them in here and get started on my bone broth, and I'll show you exactly what I put in my bone broth. Alright, so here's one of the bags, and this has 3 chicken carcasses inside here. I'm going to go ahead and stick this in my stock pot and get the other bag. Alright, friends, so to my stock pot with all my chicken, I'm going to add some celery, an onion, and I'm just going to cut it in half and put everything in there. Skin and all, everything's going in there. And then I have a whole garlic. I'm just going to smash it up and throw the whole thing in there as well. I love garlic. I have some whole black peppercorns. I'm going to go ahead and add a few of these. Some ground turmeric. I don't measure anything, I just kind of eyeball it. And then lastly, I'm going to go ahead and add some salt. And whenever you are doing bone broth, you want to make sure you add apple cider vinegar to your bone broth. It helps draw out the nutrients from the bones. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and fill this up to the top with water, put a lid on it, and then I'm going to let it go on the stove on a low heat for 24 to 48 hours. At that time, then I will go ahead and remove it, strain it, and put it into jars. I went ahead and did this small batch of bone broth a couple days ago, so I'll show you how that looks, and we're gonna go ahead and can that small batch, and then I'll have this one to do in a couple days. All right, friends, so here I have my bone broth that I did a couple days ago. It's been sitting on the stove cooking for 48 hours, and now it's ready to go ahead and strain and then put into jars to put in my canner. All right, friends, so here I have my strainer, and I went ahead and got some cheesecloth that I'm gonna put in here as well, so that way I can make sure I get all of the particles out of the broth and it does not go out of here and it doesn't go into my broth. Now I'm gonna go ahead and let this mixture just drain so all of the juices go to the bottom and out of the bones. So I'll be back in a couple minutes and then we'll start ladling this into our jars. All right, now that this has completely strained, we're gonna go ahead and remove it and put it somewhere else. You can always use these chicken bits and everything else to either give to your dogs or any of your other animals because the bones are super soft and they just turn to mush. So this is a great treat for your pets. Don't throw it away. Or you can also put it into your compost and it will be great. All right, so my quart jars are all sterilized and they are hot. So they are ready for the mixture, which is also hot, to be put in here. All right, so I have just enough to make 4 quart-size jars. The rest I'm actually gonna leave for dinner tonight. I'm making some Mexican rice and I always put bone broth into my Mexican rice instead of water and it is so good. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean the rims, put the lids on, and then we're gonna get them going in the canner. We're gonna go ahead and pressure can these jars so that I can put them into my pantry to use at a later date. Always clean your jars. Make sure you clean the tops of them before you put your lids on. I'm gonna go ahead and place these in my canner. Now I'm gonna go ahead and turn on the heat on my canner and I'm gonna go ahead and start pressure canning my jars. So I'll see y'all back once this is done. All right, friends, so I am all done. It took 2 days for my bone broth to cook down. I now have 12 jars of these quart-sized bone broths, and I'm gonna go ahead and put these into my pantry, as well as 22 pint-sized jars of my tomato sauce that I canned earlier. Those are now down in the pantry. I am so excited to have these, and I have a lot more chicken downstairs in the freezer that I need to go ahead and bring up and continue to make some more bone broth. I will be putting a lot of this bone broth down in the pantry for the winter. So thank you for coming along with me. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends and family. As always, I hope all is well and have a blessed day.